Tony, so I said, don't put it there, and she did.
It's so bad.
Hello, and welcome back to another fantastic episode on Let's Drone Out. Tonight, you're joined by my favourite vegan sausage, my little Tony.
Hello.
Sorry, Tone. Talked over you. Our Lord and Master, the Dam Buster himself, Andrew / Frank.
Good evening.
We're joined by everyone's favourite curry kitten.
Hello.
The wonderful, beautiful Blue Owl.
Hi.
How does she get her hair as good as NJ Tech's teeth? Hello, NJ.
That was a pretty good link. I'm going to allow that one. Hello. Hello, everyone.
Squadron Captain of the Thundercats. Oh,
oh yes.
Oh, I've finally been freed from Cockwomble jail. Right until I fly. Hey, how's everyone going?
Well, good. I think we've all checked. We've checked each other's pulses. We're all still surviving.
Just about.
Can we have a disclaimer from Mr. Curry Kitten, please?
I did find it. I'll just read it. Any views expressed by any guests on this show personal may not reflect the views of others. Not that we've got any guests this week. We sort of went all out last week, and now we're just doing it ourselves for a while.
Yeah, before our viewers get carried away and think you're going to get that kind of treat every week, allow us to slam you back to reality and remind you, it's us. It's all about us.
We just reached the limit, so there are no more guests for the rest of 2021. Sorry, guys.
Right.
Yeah.
I'm going to shoot off an email in the hope that maybe next week we can have some people to chat. But the lovely NJ has been wonderful enough to kind of organise us and set up some little. Talk to us and what news and what stuff have you seen?
You're all right. You just needed picking up and dusting off. It's like when when a kid falls over and hurts their knee and you're all right. Come on, you know what you're doing.
I know.
That's exactly who we are.
I know. I that show. I mean, I couldn't. The last week's show, I've had a few people thank me, and I'm don't forget to thank Tony, because Tony, although I managed to get, I got Steele on board, and then I spoke to Chad Nowak and got that sorted. It was finished the race was Tony. He managed to secure Tommy, and that's what sort of let the magic happen. And to get not only get Sharpoo in the chat, but get a donation from him. Yeah,
that's pretty badass, isn't it?
I don't really want to think about it as a donation. I want to think of it as a fine for not willing to come on the show. So, but yeah, I'm having a pretty rough time. I've had a blood test today, and the washing machine's dead, so that's got to get sorted out tomorrow.
Did you have any then?
Yes, I did have some blood.
Excellent.
Taken. I don't fancy getting.
What shade of purple was it?
That's enough talk of bloodletting now, because I'm about to pass out at this point. Just that much detail is enough.
That's all that's required.
Lie back in the chair just in case it happens. If you see me slump away, someone phone my wife.
I've got to say, just because someone's mentioned Elon in the chat, did anyone notice today? Did anyone follow Elon on Twitter and noticed he tweeted several times what appeared to be jokingly about Dogecoin being the one, the best, the only, and then it proceeded to surge by 40%, and it got me thinking about what kind of coin we could come up with in FPV. So in the chat, any suggestions for an FPV based coin? What would you call it? I'm sure this is going to end up being quite amusing.
Yeah.
Don't take it seriously, but there's an idea. If we had an FPV coin, what would it be? Probably Sharpoo coin for you, wouldn't it, Jack?
Yeah, I would. Yeah, the
but there'd only be one, and you'd never see it.
So yeah, totally. Highly exclusive.
Tailspin's come up with a good one there. Bando coin. Liking that
That's
already.
good.
Yeah, that's
Yeah.
right. Yeah, I like that.
Oh my god.
Excellent.
Well-
So we've already established just quickly before we started the show that sadly none of us have actually managed to fly properly. Oh, well, actually, no, one of us has, but most of us haven't. Has anyone in the chat managed to get flying this week? Frank, tell us about your flying experience, because you showed us something that I was just immediately excited about.
I know.
Yeah, well, because my the only field that I can get to without going on public transport was shut down in the new year, and so I can't get out and fly at the moment. And as much as I can hover a Whoop in this room, it's not that much fun. But with work as it is at the moment, I decided to spend a little time last week grabbing hold of the laser cutter that turned her up just as we're shutting down after 5 years of it being on order, and had to go with the laser cutter, and I modified some files from Project Air, doing his when he did a few years ago a big dambuster model. So I grabbed some bit of cardboard and scaled down and sort of modified his design. And so I've got a nice little laser cut Lancaster, which with a
That's
hold
good.
it to the camera.
Yeah, let's
Properly.
see this
Oh,
properly.
good.
That's it. There is a microphone sort of where I would probably put it, but there we go.
Did you
Yeah,
actually
there
do? I've got to ask. Did you actually do, when you say scaled down, like quite casually threw it out there? I have in my head. I'm seeing you sat there with a calculator and actually working out the correct scale of things.
I just went, oh, the plan fits on this bed. The laser cutter is this size. That'll do. And then it just kind of all worked out with all the sizing and stuff. But yeah, I've stuck a mic stand adapter in the nose for nose weight
Nice.
with some duct tape, and yeah, it glides. I'll see if I can. I'll chuck it across the room. Hold on.
Throw it somewhere so we can see.
Make Frank big. Or not.
Oh,
Hey!
That's it. I pressed the wrong button. Damn it.
Well, it's too late now.
Oh,
I think
And just
anything
there.
more horizontal than vertical is a success, I think. Sorry, carry on.
I was just going to say, just there, Frank has flown again more than anybody else here.
Yeah.
Just with that. That's it.
Yeah.
the
I
only thing I can say is I bought a flight controller. Sorry, Blue Owl.
Nice. That reminds me of the fact that I have to buy one as well. So I was gonna say I didn't get to fly. Unfortunately, I needed desperately. Normally I would just go out and fly to kind of get my head straight. But I think if I remember correctly, I had a dream that I went flying. So I told you today that I have all these super random dreams, and I had one. So that's how I needed.
I think at this point a dream about flying counts as flying.
Okay, then 2 times actually. In one, that was super stupid, but I actually enjoyed it quite a lot. I also had one dream where I was kind of holding like a leash that was attached to a manned aircraft, and then I was just flying around like I was flying FPV. It's totally random, totally stupid, but it was amazing because my dreams are super realistic. It's like watching a film, but you're in it. So I was actually flying.
So this was a plane with actual people in it that you had on some kind of tether.
Yeah, I was like attached at the end. So yeah. And it was like flying FPV, but I had to trust the pilot who was sitting in the plane. So yeah, that's my kind of flying these days.
I think it counts. Yeah, it's interesting. I did actually dust off my DLG when I was going through some of the models sitting in my loft this week, just because I was trying to see what was up there. And the thing is, I try not to go into my loft where all my other models are, because I know I'm going to get excited as soon as I see something up there. and then I'm going to want to take it down and fly it. But I thought I need to go up and see what's there. But I did dust off the DLG, and I'm starting to get a little excited about flying that again. Not that we've got really any kind of weather for flying gliders at the minute, with exactly zero thermal activity going on. But yeah, it was like we were saying earlier. I guess now we can class more things under the category of drone, as the FAA have told us that everything's a drone now. So yeah, even we did mention even kites are possibly categorized as drones now. And
Oh my god!
I always thought kites and balloons were the only exceptions. Frisbee, that's a drone, but kites and balloons, those were always mentioned as not a drone somehow.
Yeah, kites are different, but there are still rules which I only learned after flying them too high. You can fly kites too high.
You throw a frisbee, that is called a drone. So what if you lob a rock at someone? Is that someone got hit by a drone?
That's a free flight drone.
It's just getting stupid.
The free flight non-surveillance drone, a rock.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
You imagine? Don't tempt me to like stick FPV to a rock and be like,
well, you made a potato fly, so why not a rock? Make a rock fly.
Don't tempt me.
I'm hovering over buying a Betaflight 95 V3, the digital one.
Should we change the word Betaflight to Beta FPV?
Sorry, yeah. Did I say Betaflight?
Yeah.
Sorry, yeah. The Beta 95 V3 with a digital. I'm like literally like, I'm gonna buy it. But I don't know whether to get someone to strip one of these heroes, or
I love the way you qualify that, Tony. I don't know if I'm going to strip down and then correct yourself into get somebody to strip down.
Well, if I strip it down, it's never going to work ever again. Let's face it.
Are we going back a couple of weeks to when we were talking about shirts off? Is that what we're doing?
It was like Blue Owl, where she's talking about a dream, and it's like, I had a leash that was connected to a man. Pause.
I thought the word was leech rather than leash. I thought it was like one of those horrible little blood sucking things, but I turned off that again because of the blood thing.
What it did remind me of is Blue Owl. How was your maintenance going? Because I got heavily ribbed for that. You know, because after my check, you were breaking down your quads and stuff.
Not finished yet.
Not finished. Oh my word.
Yeah, I just kind of left it where it was. That's a very good point. I was super motivated. I had like a burst of energy that week, and then everything just floated away. I'm waiting for it to come back. Anyways, yeah, that's I have a lot of plans. I have a long list of FPV boxes to check, and getting a Tango 2 is one of them.
Good job.
Yeah, 'cause you want to carry it around, don't you, and put it in your handbag and stuff.
Yep. Yeah.
That way you keep yours, Tony.
Yeah, but don't tell anyone.
He keeps a chair in his handbag.
I do. I have to take a chair everywhere.
That's true.
So just sort of going back, just to touch very briefly on last week's show, there was something that Steele mentioned with I'm gonna put it out there and say maybe a little bit of disdain when it came to the subject of kind of Sinny flying and that whole movement. Now I can kind of see where some people are very much on the kind of side of not liking that for specific reasons when it comes to camera stabilization. For those that want to make the real kind of cinema style footage, obviously the advances in stabilization and stabilization software is obviously very welcome, but I also see the school of pilots who, I guess I was kind of on that side where in order to get really good smooth footage, you had to tune your quad perfectly. Everything had to be balanced. You know, you had to really make sure your your GoPro mounts was the right material and everything was not resonating horribly, so that you could get and obviously flying smoothly. So I feel like there's a bunch of people who feel like now stabilization has come along and anyone can just throw a new GoPro, even sort of as far back as a 7, straight onto a quad and get great footage and make up for some stuff, shall we say, when it comes to the skill side. And I'd be interesting to know where people are on the where people are in the chat on that, whether we've got people that fall on the side of very much that's the direction they've gone in. Is that a direction you're interested in, or is that something that you've got no interest in, and you think it takes away from part of the magic of flying freestyle quads? So any strong opinions one way or the other in the group?
Could we define what we mean by cinematic flying? Is it literally about, rather than doing specific tricks and that, you're kind of doing what you might have done on a Mavic, but a little bit more dynamic? You're doing a bit more sort of acro flying around, say, your point of interest, instead of, well, if you're in a Mavic, you just do a circle or something, or look down on it or something. And if you're freestyling, you'd be like flippy flapping.
Well, I think that's, I mean, for me, it's doing those things that currently, because we don't know what that new DJI one's going to be like, but there are things that the Sinny, Woops, and certainly very well set up 5, 4-inch or even 3-inch quads that can carry a GoPro are doing that you just wouldn't be able to do with something like a Mavic Air. So I think it's in a category on its own away from that. But certainly things that can get into the nooks and crannies, do really highly maneuverable, capable of mixing in some light aero, but really it's more about the footage. And I think some of that is I'll tell you one of not just my favorite pilot. I know a lot of people in the chat and yourselves will certainly know Johnny FPV is. He was someone who was quite vocal about that on his own channel, because he came out and said, look, everyone criticizes that I'm using so much stabilization, but that's part of my job now. There's the creation of where the important bit is, the footage, and then there's the bit I love as an FPV pilot, and those are in two very distinctive categories. And I think that was good of him to say that, but or to come out and say, look, let's define these as two things, because I love flying. I love technically the technical side of flying FPV, and that has its own thing. But then there are times, as my job, this is what I want to do, and the footage is what matters. But the two, I think FPV is so intertwined with the cinematic experience that there's some crossover, but it is polarizing. You can see from the chat, Drone Racer says getting footage takes the fun away. So it's a polarizing thing.
I love it. I love cinematic flying. That's my new.
But do you like flying in this way, or you like watching it?
Yeah, I like doing it. I'd like to do a set thing where, like I've followed mountain bikers and done a set route and do stuff like that. I enjoy doing that. That's why I want to get this little Beta 95 and get closer to people, because it's like so lightweight type thing. You can fly it really close. I just really, really enjoy it.
I think for many people, the fun of flying, for some it's a complete thing. So the fun of flying is also about getting the results and cutting that into a good video. And I'm all for, like, if it floats your boat, go for it, do the best. My only thing I'm getting a little bit bored of are these videos where it's very set up, and it's like somebody's walking across, and then they open the door, and then the quad goes through the door, and then someone else is picking up like something, and it goes under there. And sometimes they're using angles where you could just carry a camera along because it's so low. It needs to swoop in from at least high, not just go along at person height. Because I just might as well carry my camera along.
It's a non-stop of going through stuff. Like, you can do it.
I think it's a bit overused. I think here's a trend, and now everyone's done it. Move on to a new trend for that one.
I really like it. Has anyone seen the Slabs video? The new video by Danny McCaskill, the mountain biker?
Yes.
Really good. Have you seen the making? Because our friend Andrew Lawrence, who we had on the show a few weeks back, the Top Gear guy, he flew that video, all the aero stuff. And if you watch the making of it, making of the Slabs, I think it's called. Really good.
I haven't seen the making of yet. I'd say the only thing wrong with the overall video, because I saw Danny doing a descending, and I thought he's going much slower than he normally would, and I don't think they captured quite how steep that slope was, which I think they've got in the making, because you could see people sort of standing on the mountain looking like that, and that's why it was going so slow. Yeah.
Well, that sort of footage you couldn't get from a DJI drone. I mean, you could, but it just wouldn't be as good. You can't change level and height as quick. And
I know. Like I say, I think I'm all about, like, it looks good. There's one certain aspect of it which I think is overused, and that's the exact thing that you like, Tony. That constant cut, but it's too set up about how people are just. It's almost like, you know, that the film where the guys are carrying that pane of glass and they're like, oh, we're going to have a car chase and it's going to go through it or something like that, and, you know, it's all that.
I mean, it's a very interesting thing. For me, it's always, I think when I've gone out and done freestyle videos, there's definitely a big part of my head which is I'll look at something I want to do from a trick, and I'll think about how this is going to look in the end result. So I guess everyone has their own kind of way about how they approach the footage. I mean, if we look at some of what's written in the chat here, again, you can see there's lots of different opinions. Is it that someone here said that they use the footage just to help with tuning? There are others here who are saying it's a waste of time. Flying's just for me. There's a lot of different opinions here. So I just find that whole thing quite interesting, because it's so subjective, isn't it? Everyone has a different idea of what that should be as a tool for them, or whether it should exist or not. There you go. Yeah, Caroline Tyler, that was it.
Yeah, I think it depends
good point,
on how you
Andy.
look at it, because from our point of view, it's going to be boring. For me personally, it's boring. I wouldn't want to fly like this, but I love watching Johnny FPV, for example. But I think it sells when you're not into FPV and suddenly you see this shot that seems impossible, because how somebody can carry camera so far away, and it looks like just like a normal, you know, shot.
I mean, there was a couple of channels that you shared with us a couple of weeks ago, Blue Owl. The Pika FPV and Blaster.
Blaster is amazing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That was well impressive.
I think there's definitely also a skill in knowing where to fly as well.
Yeah. How close you can get. It's not just about flying in a straight line. It's all about the spot as well, I think.
Yeah.
But yeah, for me, if I had a choice, I would definitely go for a freestyle quad. And sometimes, I mean, it's just me, of course, but I know that many people do that too. Sometimes when I'm kind of pressured to create a video or to fly because I want to create a video, I would actually remove the GoPro completely, or I would keep it for the weight, but I would turn it off just to enjoy the flying. So yeah, like NJ said, it depends whether you're more into flying or you're more into making videos.
Mine's both. I love coming home and then cracking a beer and then editing and stuff. I put out a video last week of all my last year's stuff all mixed together, which I enjoyed doing that. It took me about 5 hours to cut it all in and out, but I really enjoyed doing
I
the
must
editing.
admit, the first time, I think it was when I first got my GoPro 8 Black, I remember seeing the results. I remember thinking, I've got to get the new quad I'd built at the time, which was my Osiris, the Halo Osiris, and I got that home and I was like, right, made notes about the things I need to tune. I did a load of packs because I was in the sort of middle of tuning things up, and I remember looking at the sort of end results of the tune and thinking, well, I know at least one of those videos is going to look really smooth, because I'd had the hyper smooth on to see what it was like, and then I looked and every single video was just completely butter smooth, and a little part of me died inside because I was thinking, well, normally I'd have to work really hard with tuning to get that smoothness that I want in the camera, and now I just don't have to bother anymore. Now I can just turn hyper smooth on and everything will look great. So yeah, I kind of get that angle a little bit.
But that's
this is the bit we like, because no one else except for you can be bothered to spend that much time writing everything down on little spreadsheets and saying, like, I just need No one even
Oh, but-
understands the fast forward stuff or the
I was the same,
forward,
NJ.
whatever it is.
When I used to fly the Hero session and trying to fly so smooth that it wouldn't, I wouldn't get any horizon blips. And I managed to do it a few videos I'd put out, and some I just didn't put out.
Was that
'cause
the
you
4 or
could
the
see-
5?
Session 5, but it had some kind of thingy on it, but it was never any good. The smoothing out on that. Hi, Menace.
I wasn't too bad with the 5. The 4 was the one that the one thing I hated about the session 4 was just the low light handling was
it was
atrocious.
rubbish.
If you had
1.5 seconds.
Yeah, anything less than a beautiful sunny day and your footage was just ISO bumped to the moon. It was really bad. But
this is tech, isn't
the
it?
5
So
was better.
it's a good bit of tech having hyper smooth. It helps our hobby. It's the same as our props used to snap, and now they don't.
well, when you were talking about you coming back and finding all your videos over smoothed, NJ, I could feel Andy, just kind of the spirit of Andy going, oh, but with all the Insta360 stuff, you can do it all in post. I just feel like, maybe again, as he keeps mentioning, maybe there's a niche there. Insta360 seem to be aiming for more of the FPV stuff with the beta FPV Insta360 camera.
We're always told that the FPV market is so tiny and a blip to all of these big camera companies, but for a company to very openly do that's obviously shows that the market is somewhat there, albeit that they're a small company growing. They're still not ignoring the FPV side, so that's good to know. On a side note, if Andy doesn't hurry up and get back in here soon, we're going to basically start talking for him every week. I can see that becoming a thing. Careful, Andy.
Too bad. I'll make a little Andy puppet.
Oh God!
Because I need
don't make it out of a sock.
Well, it has to be a white. Get a white sock.
Oh no!
With a hat.
Yeah. Oh. That sort of thing where I'm like, oh, I've got to use the sock, and I can only find the Andy sock, and it's like, I'm so sorry to do this, mate. Like, oh man, I've still got the happy sock. Carry on.
So one thing I wanted to very quickly touch on, because this has been causing me sleepless nights, which was 2 episodes back, Curry asked a question which I had to stop and think about for longer than the space in which he asked me, which was about we were talking about the supersonic glider, or the glider that was transonic but didn't make it to supersonic. And Curry did ask me, and I promised, a pre-chat, I've warned everyone I'd be talking about this very briefly, and I did say I'll keep it brief because when I start going off on one about aerodynamics, Curry, I think he has a special sign he holds up which says, please send help. So if I can get through this before he holds that up, we're all good. But the answer to that question was actually, it's the reason we can't get a glide or model glide, is very difficult to get it to supersonic. It's because of what happens to the glider as it goes from subsonic to transonic to supersonic. Everything changes a great deal once you start to try and break through the sound barrier. Now, the short version, because I've decided what we'll do is we'll do these in little bites, because I think they're interesting information, but I don't want everyone to fall asleep. So the very basics of it are that it's the wing design, and there is a reason why generally planes with a straight wing have to that are capable with lots of power, that are capable of getting up to pushing towards the speeds of transonic, almost becoming supersonic. There's a reason they can't do that. And as you approach supersonic, what happens is you end up with a pressure wave, because you've probably seen it if you've ever seen anything like an F-14 or something like that going through the sky. As it starts to go supersonic, there's like a triangle of a pressure wave that the plane's punching through. But what you have, okay, this is where I'm going to end the small snippet of this, and we'll move forward with this little tech bit every time I'm on. But do we all have a rough idea of how a wing works in terms of air going slower underneath and going faster on top of it.
Yes,
We all understand
that's
that,
a
right?
dangerous path to go down, NJ.
Have you got a whiteboard for me and Tony?
So
But
so
even
basically,
aerodynamicists don't agree on exactly.
There are
yeah,
two different
there
thoughts
is-
now. Is
there
it
is a
high,
lot-
low pressure, or is it the
high
other
and
thing?
low, yeah, and there's the subject of whether the two airflows actually need to meet at the end. But we're not going down that path. We're not doing that.
Right,
But,
kiss.
but what we know, what we can say to the best of our knowledge, is that air moves faster over the top of the wing than it does on the underside, just as with your quad props. But what happens is, as your glider starts to approach that speed of sound, the air over the top of the wing starts to move faster than the glider does, because that needs to move faster to give you the low pressure that gives you lift. Now, the problem is then that you have air going over the top of the wing that is starting to go supersonic before the plane is. Okay? That's essentially the problem when you have a straight out wing, because what it does is that pressure wave comes back onto the middle of the wing and it starts to push down on the wing and stall it. So a straight wing aircraft has a problem with going into the speed of sound. It then starts to stall from the pressure wave that's created on the wing itself. So what needs to happen is the wings, instead of being straight, any idea, anyone want to guess what shape they'd need to go instead of being straight out?
Forwards.
Triangle.
Based in mind that an
Delta.
F-14 folds them back, could you have a glider with folding wings like an F-14? Would that get up to supersonic speed?
Well, that would have a much better chance of doing so. Basically, if you think of the pressure wave like a cone coming off the back of the aircraft trying to break the speed of sound, what shape wing would fit neatly inside of a cone? It would be a delta. It would be something like that. And that's just a very small idea of why a delta wing. Yeah, exactly, just like a triangle. So if you fit a triangle into a delta cone, yes, Tony gets the teacher's pet award. That gives you an idea of where the wing design would have to go in order for a plane to not have problems going into the speed of sound. So they need to modify the wing a bit. That's it. Okay, we can move on. How did I do? 5 minutes. That wasn't bad.
Well done, thank you. How do
NJ is
UFOs
teaching
work?
online guitar lessons, but expect big lectures about exactly how sound comes out of strings and things rather than actual playing.
It's just a
Standing
trap
waves.
to get you in and then to talk about waves. That's all this is. But yeah, it'd be interesting to see what, because they're obviously that's the grail, isn't it? They want to get, if they could get a glider past the speed of sound, that RC glider, that would be pretty awesome. But it'd be interesting to see how they do it. Indeedy. So just to wake everyone up again, so we got some new stuff we wanted to talk about as well, didn't we? One item I can quickly kick off with. You guys all know I fly Halo frames, love my Halo frames, currently still rocking my Osiris. Before that, you'll know that I was a big fan of the Archon. There is a new Archon V3 that Chris is in the middle of working on. He's actually sent me some images to send as teasers, so I'll get those over to you to have a look at on here in a minute. I'll let the other guys have a little chat. And Chris was also featured on Joshua's channel with his frame, which is great to see a British frame designer making it all the way over the pond to get featured in Joshua's top 5 FPV freestyle frames. So yeah, well done, Chris. Good work, mate.
Very good.
So, Andrew, what was it? I remember you mentioning was it the Rush 1600 milliwatt?
Yeah, so Numbskull shared this on the LDO Discord this week. I'm trying to work out which link I have it open in. It is that one. There we go. So this is... Oh, that's not going to help. Yeah, the Rush FPV tank VTX 1600 milliwatts. Yeah, so that's a new VTX, which is interesting that, you know, new analog VTXs are still coming out.
Still coming out.
Yeah.
It'd be fun to get them as a review, because then we can all pretend we're flying at a 25 milliwatts and achieving large range. I wonder how hot it gets. I mean, Rush has been my favourite VTXs, I have to say.
Really?
Very, very good. Yeah, very good, clean power, and the antennas they do are actually really, really good as well. But But yeah, that's quite a big unit, isn't it? That one. You'll need a bit of space for that one, and I expect it gets quite warm.
Yeah, so it's just having a look on here. It goes up to 6S that it can take directly. It's 37 by 24 by 7 millimeters, so it's not huge, but it's definitely not tiny either. 12 grams, smart audio, normal stuff. Yeah.
There, I don't know if that's working. Is that?
Yeah.
There we go.
Okay, yeah. So there it is. There's a build of the Archon V3. There's a couple of shots of the prototype frames.
Nice.
Very pretty.
Yeah. I'm sure it's had the usual ton of clever little refinements. You see it's set up for the Vista, of course, but I'm sure we'll get more information on that. I believe Chris is sending me one over to tinker with as well. So, yeah, there you go. There's that.
Very nice.
You still reviewing stuff, NJ?
It's piling up. There are things that will happen. Obviously, it's a little hard to get motivated with nowhere to really fly and terrible weather and
Oh, God, the weather.
not being allowed out for. Well, again, you say flying. I presume you meant I need to go out and do some fishing if I want to review any quads.
Also, it's
Well,
I've
been doing it in my garden. It's like, here is a complete build. Here's me hovering it in my garden. The end. I'll try and go out some other time and see what I can do.
It's the same as me trying to go to work, mate.
So soul destroying.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I am trying to force myself to move over because I was chatting to Clive and I was going to put a 405 in, but the motor layout's too weird. But I've just still got those 2 flight test planes I need to finish, and I think I've got to redo or have a little play around with the flight test tiny trainer as well, because I think that's kind of suffered at the hands of the noob. But don't worry, Tony. You're next. Learning how to fly line of sight, boy.
Oh, God.
Socks and sandals at the ready, my friend.
Make him do it standing up as well. Just go for the complete. As
long as I lean,
Tony.
if I lean against something, I'm all right. I normally lean against fences or trees or something. I've even leant against people. Jack's pretty good to lean against. He won't move when he's
against me before.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Well,
fortunately, Tony's pretty tiny. Most people won't even notice he's leaning against you.
No, there is that. Or I have to just sit down and that's it. But I can do it I can fly standing up. It's just unenjoyable. Don't like it. It's the same as playing PlayStation, and you wouldn't. Nice to sit and relax. You wouldn't stand up and play driving games and stuff, would you?
Mm-hmm.
So
well, yeah. Until you get to Beat Saber, I found out playing here around my desk is very bad because I often end up hitting things and breaking bits on the desk and things.
Yeah, I've kind of because I've got the Oculus Quest, the V1, but yeah, I haven't touched that in a few months because basically it was hurting my hands too much because this room is not big enough for that. But there we go.
Oh, you're punching lots of stuff by accident.
Yes,
Is there a bit of that going on?
It's
lots
like
of wall punching.
It's like the old days of the Nintendo Wii. I don't want to sound like an absolute boomer, I remember the Nintendo Wii, but you'd always see like TV remotes poking out of LCD screens. Yeah,
there must be stats for that, right? There must be stats for like the number of TVs destroyed by Wii remotes. And I did hear there has been 1 or maybe 2 VR related deaths. I know that there was definitely one person who fell through a glass coffee table whilst in VR and ended up bleeding out. So, sorry, I mentioned the word. Sorry, sorry, Gary.
All we got to do now is eat a bloody Kit Kat.
Get that man some sugar quickly. But yeah, so I mean, there's always going to be a few Darwin Awards for all of these different things. There's no way around it. Someone will find a way to kill themselves with even operating a spoon. You know, there's enough of us on the planet to.
How many tea cozy deaths a year are there? Something like 4, isn't there?
Exactly.
What?
Tea cozy deaths. Oh, amazing. Well, there's enough.
There's
That's
not
got to be a
FPV
British
still
record.
looking really safe comparison to everything else, including VR.
That's what we need. If we've actually got less serious or less fatal injuries in FPV than tea cozy deaths, then I think
I think that was it. I think it was a thing. I think Ian Hudson, he's usually the guy for putting all these things together for the press. I'm sure at some point he released a kind of personal press release kind of thing of like statistics of deaths from drones versus tea cozies and other kind of bit stuff. Like over the past 10 years, you know, how many have died from all these different causes, and it's like, yes, it's you know, it's really not been a problem so far, and a lot of fuss being made about nothing. But there we go.
That is so worrying.
I can imagine it's probably because there's no fierce competition in the tea cozy market that would cause any need for such heavy regulation, shall we say?
Oh my god! Can you imagine it? I liked was it E-Wings? I'm sure it was. They should regulate VR and get an operator ID. Yeah, that is it. Yeah. So I'm reading from the other chat, but that did make me laugh. I know there's like at least we know that like quads are dangerous. You know, like we've got a certain level of respect, especially like, you know, old school people. Where do you remember that? NJ must remember that bug, and I know Tony definitely does because he experienced it with me back in the Radio C days of like plugging in the USB without removing the props, and that bug where it would just go full throttle. It was.
I remember the bug, but I never experienced it. It never did, because I was the guy who always took my props off. Yeah, because I was that guy. Of course, the bug would the bug's not after people like me. It's it's specifically after people who leave their props on. Yeah, exactly.
You know, I done the whole like had the props on loose. That's what, and I thought that would be all right, and then it wasn't.
Well, they'll do that thing where they start vibrating and making that buzz noise, and you're just waiting for them to just get a little bit of traction, and then they'll be just as dangerous. Yeah.
Dave sent me a strange death statistics. Frank, do you want me to read this out, or do you want?
Go for it.
So, Magic Pencil.
This is getting happier and happier.
Sent me
Exactly what I needed this evening.
Right, go on, death stuff. Go on.
Hurry up.
texting and driving kills how many people annually? It's in the thousands.
2,000.
Higher than 2,000.
Wow.
20,000.
No, it's lower than 10. It's actually 6,000 annually in the US alone. The next what animal kills 2,900 people annually in Africa?
Hippo.
Yes,
Unlikely.
hippos. Yep, Tony's right.
Wow, they must be hunting people at this point then.
We're
They're
definitely
just territorial, or they're like tanks. They just run you over.
yeah.
How's this?
One thing I do like about hippos is they poo way more messier than I do, which is a feat.
It is a feat. And
Does it make you feel better about yourself?
Yeah, they propeller it round with their little tail. I don't have a tail.
All we need is a tail for you. I'm sure one of us could probably design something.
Well, I could wedge a small, like, you know, red bottom motor and a nice prop at the tailbone, I guess.
That's the problem. I mean, to design the rotor thing, we'd have to put it on some sort of butt plug as a sort of mechanism, but that's going to get pooed out, isn't it?
Exactly.
As much experience I have of 3D printing butt plugs, no, I'm not doing it.
Yes, that is a very, like, remind us to bring that up on the bonus podcast. It's very
I think
fascinating.
I think I've just realised why Jack must never own a 3D printer.
Yeah. I only like 3D printing when Frank does it. What else? You're on Let's Try now. Autoerotic fixation kills how many hundred people annually?
Oh, there's got to be loads. I thought it'd be over 1,000. To be fair,
420.
No, oh no, higher.
690.
It's 600, Frank.
There we go. Close enough.
Yeah, 600 people like to choke themselves whilst jerking off. Fantastic.
Wow.
Well,
Get it wrong.
probably more than 600. 600 people go a little bit far every year.
do you realise what's happening here is every time you're in a fit, if you're ever in a field flying, the next time you have an argument with someone who tells you how dangerous drones are, that's going to be the first thing that comes into your head.
Yeah, I know.
That's do you know how many people die of erotic asphyxiation every year? More than drones. I could just see them running the other way.
Seeing as Magical Pencil was the one to bring all these up, I'll bring up his comment from earlier. He said, this is when we were talking about Tony not being able to fly standing up. He said, I tried to dive the cooling tower standing up and nearly threw up.
Oh, wow.
And I just thought that was relevant to maybe a bit of news that Curry has.
Oh, what a lovely link. Thank you,
Brilliant.
Frank. Yes, there is a new version. This is shameless self-promotion. I do apologise in advance. There is a new version of my sim that came out yesterday. Natalie called the 052B version, which contains cooling towers that you can dive down. You can choose to do this standing up and potentially throw up, or you can do it sitting down. There is also weather. There is a user-drivable car. There are gentler rates on the plane and some other bugs.
New places.
I should say some other fixes. You what?
No, new places to play hide and seek.
New place to play hide and seek. I haven't done the hide and seek game yet. That is 2 versions away from this one.
Wow.
But
you have a plan.
Your messing around inspired me because I felt not everybody was doing it as fair as it could be. So I've devised a scheme for hide and seek, formalized. We will have a proper hide and seek game.
Brilliant.
It's no more fun than fun with rules.
Exactly. If there's proper rules, we're all having the same amount of fun. If other people aren't doing it properly, only they're having fun.
Oh God, Kit Kats are the ready people.
Exactly.
Sorry, Curry. I do love and respect you.
It's all about scheduling in impromptu stuff. That's how it works.
What are the next sort of milestones with the sim, Curry? What's your what are the slightly longer term things that you're looking at? Because I know you're always furiously tinkering.
In the next release, there are 2 major things. One is a single player game, of which I released a short clip to my patrons to show them what I was doing, which I'm not sure if it's working yet. It's essentially going to be about using the beach ball to push it around various courses and get to the goal.
Oh, nice.
We'll have a demo of that out in a few weeks. The other thing is separating the rates out on Betaflight, because enough people are telling me like I use slightly different. It's mostly about yaw. Most people have yaw a little bit lower than everything else, so yaw's a bit fast, and they want to know if they could separate the rates. And right now it's all on a single key, like more Super 8, less Super 8. And so if we separate that out and perhaps try and draw that graph so you can move your stick and see how much is there, then that might be quite useful. And we can get rid of some key presses, which would be quite nice.
Did you ever solve... I doubt you ever will, but will you ever solve the mystery of the weird transmitters issue?
Which weird transmitter issues?
I think it was like a radio master or something, and you were... someone was having problems.
Didn't you get Andy tested a few bits with you, didn't he? Was it the T16?
That's right. We had one guy who had it was a jumper T16 Pro, and I was having problems finding anybody with a T16 Pro. I didn't think it was going to be anything different than
Lurgy has just put in the chat thoughts on the hemp batteries, chaps.
Oh,
you
yeah, I
smoke
saw
them?
his link.
And
This is
it
a
does
real
very
appear- the first thing I've done is go off to verify this, because I don't know if he's trolling or if
No,
this is a
it's
thing.
real.
It does look like it's a thing, which is
Yeah.
pretty awesome. So I'm gonna do a bit of reading on this. I think that's incredible.
There's
Better
no
than
like
nothing.
proper photos, but
I do
You
have
know,
to
some
say, the
mock-ups.
website looks more than a little bit suspect. I wouldn't
Right.
be going here for my science news.
Well,
but
there is a
that
link
might
to the
be me.
BBC article that is on the BBC's article in the science section, which is legit. So you never know.
I do share Frank's woo alert here, because when you look at the about page, it's like a news blog dedicated to helping humans fully live in the present by gleaming tips of our primitive ancestors. And right about there is where my eyes start to slightly glaze over, because it's all become a little bit, okay.
Well, I mean,
holding the sounding rods.
it's on the BBC, so it must be true. What can you say?
God.
What more proof could you want? But
don't
yeah,
like-
could you imagine if you get?
I
Yeah.
find it
Hemp-
interesting as well that clicking through the link on the BBC website, the BBC article has some links in it, and if you click through there, you get a 404 not found on the sort of official American Chemistry Society.
I really want this to be true, Andrew. Just give me a day of believing it. That's all I want.
So
It'd be
People
good. It
ripping
feels
open
like
Teslas to
someone's
to
invented a
smoke the
Mr.
batteries.
Fusion from Back to the Future, where you can just put your old chips and stuff in a little fusion reactor and it will generate so much power. It's amazing. It's magical.
I also noticed that the BBC article is 7 years old. So
Oh my god, he's just falling miserably, isn't he? Oh.
sorry
Joel-
to dispel your
Now I'm
illusions
sad.
there. Yeah,
Now I'm sad. That's the kind of science I could get on board with. Never mind.
I'm sorry for crushing your hopes and dreams.
And if there's anyone that's got shares in this right now, maybe get Elon's tweet about it.
Hmm.
Pump all your stock,
Dogecoins
and then
hemp
get it
batteries.
out. Get it out quickly. Dear, oh dear.
I know. I asked you.
Silence.
Yeah.
Excellent.
Well,
What-
we're almost up to the top of the hour. There's one thing was the shout out for Winter Blue and Cerberus, right? That's his name. Yeah, Cerberus Velvet. Their new show that they're doing fortnightly on 10 p.m. on some Saturdays. They did the first one last weekend and doing another one in a couple of weeks' time. Then I guess, but as far as I can tell, is the video is now being made private. But I'm assured that it was very hilarious and alcohol fueled. So make of that what you will.
Tuesdays, not Saturdays.
Oh, that's the main one, right? I don't know. I'm lost now. I was told Saturdays by Winter Blue. Cerberus is telling me Tuesdays. So
There's already been a break in the group, and they're already
That's
going
it.
different directions.
Split up now. We're not doing it anymore.
I Winter Blue, if you can give me a shout at some point, that will be good. I need to message you. Also, I've got the whole congratulations to FPV Dave. You were the winner of the Menace Digiback in the comments. So don't forget, guys.
It's the Cockwomble competition, essentially.
Yes. You were the person who wrote the word Cockwombles and Menace RC's kids picked your comment. So Dave FBV, if you can send him an email at info@menace.co.uk, I believe is the email. So yeah, and if you can prove it's you, that would be fantastic. And,
thanks, Menace.
Yeah, thank you so much, Menace, for sponsoring the show. It's always good to have you guys be able to win some stuff.
I just wanted to show this comment on screen from Blizzard FPV. It's interesting that some people's names make more sense when they tell you it's -22 flying and -41 Cs coming soon. Yeah, that makes sense to me, Blizzard FPV.
Appropriately named.
Need to be in your car flying for that.
Yeah.
I think we're going to have a bit of a cold snap next week, aren't we, from Sunday?
Oh, Tony, don't tell me that.
Yeah,
it's
it's
going to be here as it is.
I think we've got off lightly compared to the Midlands and further north. They've been
having wet weather, and they've been having quite a lot of cold and snow.
A lot of snow.
I would take snow over rain, I think.
Oh, I would any day. I could probably work in the snow. I have worked in the snow. I've flown in the snow as well, but it's just getting to and fro in it in the snow.
Did anyone get to fly or get some video of the snow a couple of weeks ago? That Sunday that we had snow.
No.
I went out mountain biking in it, and by the time I got halfway around my my track, it had turned to slush and mud again. I haven't even been out on my mountain bike for 2 weeks. Well, I've been going around to just on a road trip, so I've been going just up the road and back 6 miles there and 6 miles back on the road because the trails are just so wet. My front garden is just turned to mud.
Like Andy's back garden a few years ago where he had a little pond in the lawn.
It's awful. Absolutely awful. It's so wet everywhere. It's horrendous.
How is your place, NJ? Because I think there was flooding, weren't there, at one point?
Yes, there was some pretty serious flooding. Thankfully, I live on top of a hill, so it's nothing. I can stand at the top of the hill and chuckle at all the people below me. But yeah, the rivers near me had very much burst their banks, and there was a few evacuations. And it's still the river levels around here are still really high. So yeah, we could do without too much more rain for a little while. But yeah, that's about as exciting as it's got round here.
Yeah, same here.
So Blue Owl, after we've been complaining about a bit of wet and a few hours of snow, what's the weather like where you are at the moment?
Unfortunately, so the last 2 days were actually quite good.
Oh.
It's like +10, but that means the snow has melted and also some rain is coming up in the upcoming days. So no good news for you this time.
But does that mean that you're gonna get better weather soon? Potentially flying weather?
I hope so. I need flying, good flying spots and good flying people here in Prague, and I don't really need weather. My quads are pretty fireproof, and I do keep them in a good shape, but I wouldn't mind flying in a little bit of rain. So yeah, we'll see. I still have some very, very old footage. When I say very old, I mean September last year. That was probably the last time I was out flying. So if you're very, very nice to me, I may produce a video finally.
That's nice.
Yes.
Awesome.
Have you found a Prague FPV group or anything like that?
Yeah, there is one. There are some really good people. We just haven't had a chance to meet because since I moved, we've been under lockdown. and then the weather got pretty well. When it's cold, acting a little bit like a princess. So like it's a little bit too cold. It's too harsh for my skin.
Jack
I'm
does
kidding,
it.
but seriously, it's not like you cannot do, I don't know, 10 or 15 batteries because you're gonna start freezing after you do 2 or 3. So what's the point going for 1 hour out of the city? So yeah, that's my little struggle. That's why I'm thinking of, making my backpack a little bit smaller and be able to fly anywhere I want, just 1 or 2 packs.
Oh, I see numbskulls, but this, maybe we should do that, actually. I'd love it if we went over there and...
Well, the beer is cheaper than water. That's
Yeah,
one thing we have learned so far.
That's probably the best arguments that I can use to bring you all here.
Book me up now. As long as I don't have to get a COVID stamp in my arm, and then I'm allowed to go.
You can already apply for your visa to travel to Europe.
I think you're confused about what they put in your arm. It's not a stamp.
Totally
Well, I suppose we could just post Tony because he's small enough. He'll just fit in the jiffy bag, won't he?
I know. Can you imagine that? Build his own raft. Tony the Refugee series.
Yeah.
He's got a kayak. He's been over to the Isle of Wight. Europe's only a bit further.
I could probably paddle to France. Wouldn't take me long.
Yeah.
You've
So,
done that, haven't you?
Not to France.
I was seeing Gigawatts has put in the chat, not too bad in Hastings, crawling with coppers though. Yeah, I've got to say we've had a bit of copper patrolling going on around here as well, with checking people aren't more than 5 miles from their house and all that kind of stuff. So unless you're essentially shopping
now,
it's happening.
Only a year late, but
Yeah.
It's a year later.
And the police have literally become the fun police. They're making sure you're not enjoying your time outside, that you're just exercising. There's no leisure. You just have to walk and come
the
back.
actual fun police. Yeah, they are.
Strap
I think
into the
that's
X-Class.
time for us to wrap up then. Jack,
worries.
if you want to call us out.
Yeah, no worries. Thank you, guys. You've been listening to... hang on. We need to finish with fire.
Wait.
Caroline has saved the day.
Ooh, wait there. Caroline, you're gonna have to choose because now we have 2 people with fireworks. The choice is between Jack, who has better fireworks, but the trouble is that he can set his apartment on fire, and me.
You're mostly selling the jacket.
Fireworks, but I can also set my apartment on fire. So yours. Choose wisely.
I need the heat.
Choose wisely whose apartment you'd like to see on fire. This one's on you, Caroline.
We're definitely going to take it personally if you don't choose the right person.
Oh, ladies first, surely.
All right, go then.
Love you, Blue Owl.
Go ahead.
All right. Brilliant.
All right, I'll do one. I need it tonight, so it's gonna be me. Hang on, lights.
Are you turning the lights off and everything?
Takes forever. Let me do the lights. All right, there you go.
That's better.
Thank
Thank you,
you.
Caroline.
Thank you, Caroline.
Frank, can you send Blue Owl some fireworks as well?
But you don't like my fireworks? Come on.
Oh, 1 each. 2.
We want to see more danger.
Oh,
Oh,
I
bless.
am well excited now. Oh, it's so good having NJ. Don't forget, people, if you can, leave a comment. Oh, the side of this is on fire now. Because it will really help with us. Thank you.
Need to put you both in view, Jack. We can't. There we go. Let's see you both. That's better.
Mind
I
that
don't
hair.
have fireworks, but I can
Yes.
hold up this pen with a light on the end.
Calm down,
Don't
Curry.
get, nothing says more fun than a pen with a light, does it? Let's face it.
What worries me is Jack's so comfortable now around fire. I think
Yeah.
he could probably let his house burn a bit before he was bothered about getting out of there.
This is
I've
what
been
he's been practicing with his hemp batteries.
Yeah. Yeah. So, guys, NJ, do you want to pick a word, and maybe someone might give us something to give something away. I doubt it though, but
Okay, if I'm going to pick a word of the week, it's going to be. Are you ready? We good?
Yep.
Transonic.
Wow.
Okay.
Picked a tricky one to spell.
Wow.
Definitely up Jack's street.
That's not tricky to spell.
Worst case scenario, if we can't get anyone to give us anything, we'll send you some stickers. Okay.
This is Jack's plan to get rid of his stickers.
Yeah.
Oh.
So don't forget, type in Transonic in the comments below after the show and say whether you like the show or not. Anyway, you've been listening to Let's Drone Out. Thank you so much for all our supporters, everyone who donates, everyone who's a Patreon. I hope you guys liked the bonus podcast we had, chilling with Steel and Final Glide and Tommy, and we were all there, and it was pretty cool.
And Sharpoo.
No, Sharpoo wasn't there. We're not
He
the
was in the
other
chat.
We're not the other
He was in the
podcast.
chat. He was in the chat.
Pretends
He was in the
Sharpie's
chat.
there. Like someone. All right, thank you. You've been listening to, and you've been joined by My Little Tony,
Bonjour.
Andrew / Frank,
Bye.
the sexy NJ Tech,
Oh, Lord. Take care, everyone. Fun as always.
the beautiful Blue Owl,
Bye.
and everyone's favourite Curry Kitten.
Goodbye.
And I've been Bright Until I Fly. Thank you so much, guys. And yeah, Drone Racer, I'll see you on Big Live Stream. Good night.